I'm Adam from the Winnipeg Financial Planning Team, and welcome to part 2 of my 5-part tax series that's going to help you get prepared for the upcoming tax season. If you haven't seen my first video where I discussed the difference between tax preparation and tax planning, I recommend you go check that out now. Today's topic, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into what exactly tax preparation is and what you should look for. Now, this can apply whether you're a do-it-yourself tax filer or if you're hiring someone to do it for you. It can help you understand what questions you should ask and what questions they should be asking you. So let's dive in. In the first video, the first part I discussed was compliance. When you're filing your tax returns, it's important that you are being compliant. Now, I had a question after that video came out, what exactly that means. Well, whether you're in Canada, the United States, and what state or province you're in, that jurisdiction is going to have some tax laws, and that can include how much tax you should be paying based on what your income is and what deductions and benefits are available to you. So it's important that you understand those laws, or your tax preparer understands those laws, so that you're not breaking any laws and doing something that's illegal. And the tax system works in an interesting way where you basically are required to self-assess. You file your tax return on almost like an honor system, and if the CRA or the IRS doesn't look into it, everything can be okay. Now, if they do look into it, that's the word audit we use. Sometimes the CRA or the IRS might audit you. If you've done something that does not comply with the tax laws in the jurisdiction, you can pay a penalty, and depending on how drastic the law it is that you broke or whether it was fraudulent or whatever it is, there can be some severe penalties. So it's really important to make sure, number one, when you file your tax return, that you're complying with all the tax laws that are out there in the jurisdiction that you are filing in. The second part is benefits and deductions, and that ties into the compliance part as well. So benefits and deductions are basically things that, depending on, as I mentioned earlier in the previous video, your age, where you live, things that are available that you can use to offset some of your income to lower the amount of tax you can pay. So an example would be, as a pro athlete, depending on where you live, you may be able to claim your training costs, your health club and training costs. So the fees that you paid to your trainer to go to the gym and get in shape for your upcoming season, you may be able to deduct that expense against your income. Now, that's not necessarily entirely true everywhere, so it's important that you look at the rules in the jurisdiction that you live in, or talk to your preparer and make sure that they understand the rules of about those deductions. The third thing is deadlines. This is an important one, especially for players. I find that when I was a player, I tended to drag my feet on anything that wasn't related to hockey. So it's important for players to understand that there are deadlines to filing your returns. So when your advisor or your tax preparer is chasing you down, asking you for the documents that they need to prepare for you, it's important to get those in a timely manner. Now, if you're filing as a Canadian resident, the deadline to file your tax return is April 30th. And if you're filing as a US resident, the deadline to file your return is April 15th. If you don't file your return on time, you can face a penalty on top of what you have to pay in taxes already. So you want to make sure you file on time. Something to note about this, in Canada, the slips that your employers are required to send you in order for you to begin the preparing process to file your return, in Canada, you should receive this before the end of February, and in the United States, you should receive this before the end of January. So my advice to players is always, as soon as you receive those documents, whether it's your T4 in Canada or your W2 in the United States, let's get that process of filing your returns started right then and there, so we can get all the hard work or the legwork done out of the way before playoff season starts. Because, as you know, as a player, once playoffs start, you're not going to want to be thinking about taxes and money and things like that. So as soon as you receive those slips, get that process started. And then the last part that I talked about in that first video is cost. How much should you be paying for someone to file your tax return? Now, if you're doing it yourself, nothing, it's free. Good for you. You're taking all of that time out of your day to file your tax return. It doesn't cost you anything. Now, I'm going to assume most players aren't going that route. They're likely going to hire someone. So just how much should you expect to pay? If you're an East Coast Hockey League or an American League hockey player, you can expect to pay to file your taxes anywhere between $750 up to $2,000. And I wouldn't say you should be spending any more than that. If your preparer is charging you an outlandish fee, talk to your advisor or talk to some of the other players in the room and see what they're doing. You don't need to be paying an outlandish amount of money to get your taxes filed. If you're playing in the NHL, however, it gets a little bit different. As your income increases and the different planning strategies you have, whether you have trusts, whether you have a corporation, all these different things can make filing your taxes more complex. And it's not that outrageous for an NHL player to have to pay $10,000 or even more as they progress throughout their career and their net worth gets larger. So These are kind of guidelines of what you should be paying. If you're playing in the American League and you had to pay $10,000 to file your tax return, maybe look into it. There may be reasons for it, or you might be paying too much and you should look elsewhere. So all of these things, compliance, benefits, deductions, deadlines, and cost, all things you should be thinking about when you're starting to prepare to file your taxes. Stay tuned for video number 3.